Hey folks, Brendan here from Bluelight, and for those of you who haven't seen any of my videos before, over the past several years I've been coaching and supporting people for the police recruitment process with a lot of success. I'd like to add, good 3,000 plus people are now in the police as a result of my support. So if you'd like to find out more about that support, there's some links below to my Facebook group. It's got over 6,000 people in it now, and also to my courses, seminars and one-to-one coaching sessions. So what's this video about today? Well, some of you folks just aren't preparing enough for the assessment centre. So the National Search Assessment Centre, I think they're gearing it up a little bit. A few years ago it used to be just role players who had no emotion. They had about 15, 16 lines. They'd never interrupt you. It was almost like talking to a robot. I'm getting feedback now from clients to say that actually the role players are hamming it up a little bit at the assessment centre. They're going for it a little bit in terms of emotion. They're over talking, they're cross talking over me. And they're certainly putting the pressure on in terms of the sort of comments they make. Things like, that'll never work, I'm not interested, I don't care about your policy on, I don't want to go, I don't want to do that, why should I do that? And they're really throwing it back in your face. Now, this might be a development from the College of Policing, who are instructing their role players to be a little bit more animated, but I'm not sure, because in some force areas, I'm hearing that the role players are emotionless, 15, 16 lines, and exactly as they were a few years ago. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but you really need to be ready for this. Now, one of the reasons why you need to be ready for this is you need to be scoring the highest mark possible. And why is that so important if they say the pass mark is 50? Well, let's look at perhaps a force that's recruiting 50 police officers over the next year. So they've got two intakes of 25, one that's going to start in a few months' time and one that's going to start in 9 months' time, 12 months' time. But they want to have people in the bank so they don't have to run a big expensive recruitment campaign. So they might get 2,000 applications for those 50 places. They've got to drill the numbers down. So if you get to assessment centre, it means that you've already gone through one of those screening processes, which is the initial application form. Now they're going to send, let's say, 500 people to the assessment centre. So 500 people go to the assessment centre, and let's say 200 of them pass. But they've only got the capability to run 100 final interviews to decide on the final 50, which means they're going to have to cut that 200 that have passed the assessment centre down to 100. How are they going to do it? Well, the only way they can do it is based on the assessment centre score. So even though they're saying the pass mark is 50%, it might not be. It could be as high as 68%. That's the highest I've seen over the past several years. I do believe it was Cambridgeshire Constabulary several years ago had a screening process to take people through to the final interview, and I know one person who got 67% and didn't go to final interview, another person who got 68% and did go to the final interview. That's a really, really high score. I think that's unusual. I think for most people it's going to be, most forces are going to have that kind of cut-off in the low 60s or the high 50s. So 50% may not cut it, and you may not be in that final batch that's going to go to final interview. And even then, there's a lot of work you need to do for that final interview, because it's not like the interview at the assessment centre. It's very, very different. A lot of forces now focusing on values as opposed to behaviours. So there you go, folks. This is the reason why you've got to score the highest mark possible, because you've got to make sure you're in that final cut. This is how they drill the numbers down from 2,000, 5,000. Some forces are getting more applications than that. They've got to hack those numbers down, because they can't send everyone to a final interview. They just don't have the inspectors available to do that. So that's my advice, folks. Practice, practice, practice. Make sure that you're ready for far more animated role players. I think that might have something to do with the new assessment centre that the Met Police are trialling, wherein the two role plays you'll do there, the role players are far more enigmatic, have far more emotion, and will roll with you in terms of their lines. So I hope you found this useful, folks. Until next time, I shall speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.